everyone, Joshua Hanlon here at BrickFair Virginia 2022, and we've got this fantastic World War II mountain scene that we will be covering today. So we've got a few builders here. If you want to introduce yourself and then tell us about this scene.
I'm Carson, otherwise known as Carson Bricks on Instagram and Flickr. I did these 3 plates at the beginning, and yeah.
What does the scene overall depict here?
So it depicts the German invasion of the Caucasus region in 1942, and just the pure chaos in that beautiful region. So.
And then next builder here.
All right, so my name is John, J_the_doctor on Flickr, Instagram, and YouTube. So for my part, I contributed these 2 mountain stations, this right here with the rock, and then right here with the waterfall as well.
So obviously what catches people's eyes with this build is kind of the mountainous terrain here, so that's kind of what sets us apart from a lot of the typical kind of battle scenes we see. So talk about kind of the challenges of building like this, because you've got quite a lot of height here as well as building down.
So the first challenges always come with figuring out height and then getting everything to line up. So for height, of course, it takes a lot to get all the border pieces. As you can see here, we did the nice black border to cover up all our techniques that we put inside, like hinge techniques or the net technique, as you can see right here. And so a lot of that, it's just a lot of pieces, and it's really intensive. And so, for example, right here and throughout all the hill plates, we use hinges and nets to get all the natural flowing technique for all the different layering on the grass, as you would see on a natural hill. Because sometimes, rock work can look flat, but we tried to improvise and do something different that's not really done before.
And that net technique is so great. For people who haven't seen that, describe a little bit of kind of how that works and how you can use that for landscaping.
Yeah, so the net technique, basically you use a Lego, the Lego net piece. I believe it's 10 by 10 or 12 by 12. And you basically use studs, so 1 by 1s. You could use 2 by 2s, 1 by 2s. And then you basically attach it to the net, and by using that technique, you can get a nice flowing technique that you really can't achieve in Lego, getting some nice angles and nice smoothness that you see in the nature.
I also really like the water kind of running down through there. It really kind of breaks up all the green and adds some more texture to the mountain.
Thank you. Yeah, so for the waterfall, what we tried to do, which is something unfortunately we don't see too often, is when you see water, usually as rocks get wet, they become a darker color. So we tried to replicate that by with our rock work using dark bluish gray for areas around the water, and then areas farther out we use light bluish gray to show the rock work.
So we'll keep going through the builders here. So what's your name and what did you work on?
My name is Ian, also known as Palm Oil Industry on Instagram, and my main contribution was working on this housing area over here, and also fig posing and any finishing touches for the collab.
So did you build the house there?
Yeah. As you can see, there's a few space flaws, but I think overall it turned out pretty good with the windows and a unique technique that we used, inspired by other builders that we saw doing similar log cabins inspired by Russian farmhouses.
Yeah. Talk about some of those techniques, because the roof looks great, but then some of the walls have some really nice pieces as well.
So for the roof, we actually took apart from the Mongolian collab that was introduced in 2019, where we kind of layered plates on the side and just fit that right on the walls. And of course we had to line these things up, but I think overall it created a really nice natural straw effect for the roof. As for the walls, we took a lot, as I said, we took a lot of inspiration from different builders on Flickr who would often use key slopes or slanted pieces. So you can kind of get a view here. A lot of it is just plates continually stacked on top of each other to create a nice wood texture.
And then what can you tell us about some of the minifigures down here in this area?
Yeah, minifigures are sourced from a lot of different companies. We have some MMCB capes, we have some Citizen Brick, and we have tons of different headgear from all sorts of different companies, Brick Warriors, etc. It was interesting trying to create a natural looking figure layout for all of this, so we kind of had figs grouped together instead of all spread apart across the build, which was a really interesting challenge to try and overcome.
Fantastic work, and I think we've got some more builders here. So what's your name?
I'm Matthew, or McLovin at Bricks on Instagram, and I did this road plate here, and then half of this plate over there, and then I also made custom medic helmets, and then that Romanian helmet over there. And I had 2 more of the Romanian helmets that I made, but I appear to have misplaced them.
So talk about just some of your landscaping work and kind of how you were able to incorporate that in with the whole collaboration.
Well, I started my plates pretty late. I did that plate on Tuesday, and then that one I actually put together yesterday. And I just modeled it off of how everyone else did it, I guess, and that's about it.
And you kind of incorporated some of the road sections, so you had to keep in mind both the green terrain, but then also the muddy look of the road.
Yeah, it was actually, I had to look at the images carefully to get them to line up with these other plates all around it. So, yeah.
Okay. And then another builder, what's your name?
I'm Kevin, otherwise known as Kavivo on Instagram, and I did this central incline plate on the first hill.
And does that use those nets we were talking about, or what are your techniques there?
I think there's one net right here, but a lot of it's just hinges. That led to it being very fragile, and it just kind of fell apart during travel here. So I had to rebuild, and we had to rebuild a lot of it here at the convention, it looks a little rushed, but overall it came out pretty well.
What is most of the structure under this mountain like?
A lot of big pieces, so like those, the bigger like 6x5 panels, and just whatever the biggest pieces Lego has to go underneath it.
Yeah. Well, this is a fantastic build here. So I wanted to go back to the beginning section here, have you talk a little bit more about kind of the bottom section down here.
Oh, okay. So what I wanted to get was, since I'm not really doing like such a hilly section, I wanted to get the kind of valley-esque type of flow with some rocks that are different colors from the higher up section. I also want to do some very nice just scenery parts. So I built like a nice trench here, a cool little lake section that's supposed to be like a crater lake. Took some inspiration from like World War I. And then just like a little outcrop here. So yeah. And then the road is pretty nice. I really wanted to do a nice road, so yeah.
What was the collaboration process like for all of you guys as you were working on this, kind of planning it out?
Well, I'm not the leader, but this collab was put together, what would you say, a week after BrickFair?
Yeah, so we started working on getting builders together and ideas a week after BrickFair Virginia 2021. And so that started really the preliminary stages. Of course, we were all busy with like school. Like for me, example, I'm in junior year, and like we had a bunch of work throughout the year. So a lot of the planning only started like towards the end of the school year, as we really like things died down, finals came in. And then over the summer as well, that's when most of the building was done. For me, example, my plate, one of my first plates, it took me like half a year to build really like half of my plate. But then over the summer, I got the rest of my plates done. So it really took a while of planning and just making sure that everyone had the pieces as well to do it, especially considering like the height we're trying to achieve. Like the top section of the mountain goes up to about like 50 bricks tall, and so we just like, it was really hard to make sure that everyone just had the ability to do what they were doing and could do it on time. So that was really the major aspects of our planning. And after that came alignment, as we all tried to align our plates to the best of our ability. That spent a lot of time like talking on chats on like different platforms like Instagram and Discord. Where we send pictures, like describe how each thing would align and what like colors or rock areas that we all use to make it all like work out and turn out great.
How did you guys decide on this theater of World War II and kind of depicting these battles?
So we considered a lot of like different areas from the war. We considered a lot of like Pacific battles. What we really wanted to do was achieve something like a different like mock, like doing different terrain than most things you see. As most things you see kind of like more flatter, or towns. But we wanted to do something that like really highlighted the elevation in the war and how like battles just weren't linear, one flat landscape, and that there really were different like situations for the soldiers in the war.
What was research like for this in terms of photos or kind of finding depictions of the battlefield?
So for research, we used a lot of like images from today and from the war. It took a lot of work to figure out, for example, what type of trees we were doing, what type of like hills, rocks, and like different like styles of architecture in the area as well. Of course, architecture is a big thing, and we wanted to make sure that we could all like align. So that was a lot of like looking on different sites, looking through different images, just making sure that everything we were doing was accurate to the area, getting right color schemes, getting right everything we could, basically.
Do you have any idea how many pieces are in the whole layout here?
Ooh, I could not say. Thousands. I mean, it's although it's not the largest of builds, there's a lot of different pieces like going in, like on the, as I said, like hinges. Like it takes a lot of pieces to get all that lined up. So it's really parts intensive. Despite
A lot of bricklink orders, I would say. That's probably one of the most stressful things for me, at least, because I was working on this one plate over here and running out of pieces. So, I mean, it turned out great in terms of parts-wise. So,
well, great work, all of you. Thank you so much for all of your contributions here and for taking us through the build. I appreciate it.